knee. Oh man. Ooh-wee. It's been a short minute since I've done a live stream. Uh, so hopefully, yeah, I'm gonna put some music on in the background. Hopefully everyone's been doing well. I've been out grinding away on a couple projects and of course the job. Honestly, I haven't been feeling too well last couple days. A little tired. Holidays coming up, all that sort of jazz. Um, so took a Friday off last minute, kind of to recover. Um, but anywho, um, that's what I've been doing. What's up, David? Ham. Who doesn't like ham? Been working a little bit on the TypeScript section at W3 Schools. Doing some studying. Currently doing a 25-hour course called JavaScript: The Advanced Concepts. Going over some of the high-level items. About halfway through that. That's been really fun. One thing that's been frustrating me this year is I don't feel like I've advanced as quickly as I have in the past, and so I'm like forcing myself to evolve a little bit. I've been good, man. Kind of getting the office situated a little bit and set up my guest bedroom in the new house and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, just been doing a little bit of everything. I watched Legend of the Ten Rings last night with the girlfriend, and that was fun. I actually really liked that movie. For some reason I saw online that people didn't like it. I thought it was great. But yeah, so just been grinding a little bit. Try to increase that growth potential. We're trying to have Tesla levels of growth. But you can only do what you can do. Yeah, I've taken a couple months off of studying, and last month or so I've hit the grind again. So feeling pretty good about that. Yeah, it's on. If you have Disney Plus, it came out to Disney Plus about 10 days ago. So, yeah, I really liked it. I'd recommend it. Do you have an algorithm practice website? I use Algo Expert, and I also use Code Signal. I wouldn't really say I have a preference though. What are your favorite technologies for the following? I don't know where this is going, Rick. But yeah, one thing I've putting some more time into is just understanding functional programming better. I feel like I have a solid understanding of object oriented, which surprises me how few people understand good OOP. But promote my algo course. Yeah, we also have the 100 algorithm challenge. But yeah, that's another great one. I also spent like a week doing 100. Like I think I got up to 85 easy algorithms. So I was gonna do like a follow up course to that was supposed to be easier level algorithms to prepare people for. So um, I just need to do 15 more and then record and add a bunch of tests and readmes and stuff like that. I just haven't had the time quite yet. Just been studying. The old studying, man. So and mentoring. Some shameless plugging here. Um but what do I think of GitHub Copilot? So you can't really use it in a professional setting. Pretty much any workplace is not going to allow you to use something that connects your code to a something like that. um, how do you get comfortable with the new code base? I think honestly, when I start a new project or a new org, I always ask an engineer on the team to sort of walk me through the code. Just take half an hour and do a walkthrough, and then really, I think it's just about going through it and on your own and building things and getting comfortable with how the app flows. I wouldn't say that there's a right or wrong way. That's the way I do it. I think the main thing is to be intentional about it. A lot of things that this kind of weird thing I've learned is that a lot of things you learn by being intentional. And what I mean by that is if I intentionally try to figure out how to ramp up in a code base and I can see the thing I'm doing isn't working very well, then I'm figuring out another way. And you just sort of force yourself through this pattern. Not to say that like having mentors and like part of the reason I get paid to mentor is to help people avoid that. Be like avoid the pitfalls. But if you just don't accept things as they are and you're sort of being intentional in your growth, then you'll hit a wall and be like, oh, well, this is the wrong path. And you sort of back out and figure out a different angle of how to be successful. And it's this sort of guess and check aspect. Um, but even in that part in during that progress, you maybe it was the wrong path, but you got something. Full stack, stop doing half a job. That's funny. And a lot of full stack roles in general are very you'd be honestly, I believe like 80% of full stack roles are just back end. And they, there are front end focused full stack roles as well. But generally speaking, I think you'll have full stack roles that are going to be leaning heavily in one direction or the other. But yeah, I actually don't think we should have full stack roles personally, because I think that causes a lot of issues. But I understand why they exist. You have two jobs in one. Why? Um, because you expose yourself to having to know a lot more, and by doing that, you know very little in detail. Um, so, how to be a backend developer? Understand REST, understand GraphQL, understand SQL, understand a document-based database, build APIs. Node, Express, maybe Nest.js, TypeScript would be a place to start. But yeah, so by expanding your general knowledge, you're limiting the depth of which you can go with any particular subset of engineering. And subsets exists for a reason, right? So front end is the thing, back end is the thing, DevOps is the thing, quality assurance is the thing. So full tutorial on back end development. I don't have one to suggest, unfortunately, for you, my friend. You hope I invested in Shiba Inu? I put like $100 in Shiba Inu, and I think I made like 600 on it. Um, what's it at now? I haven't checked it because I sold all of my Shiba. Shiba Inu is so ridiculous. If you look at the past year, okay, so the past year of the crypto market's 380%. The past year of Shiba Inu is 71,319% in terms of growth. If this is not some sort of Ponzi scam, I don't know what is, man. The number 10th, it's the 10th most popular coin on Coinbase, and yeah, it says like Dogecoin, man. So I don't know, man. It's definitely changed the world. Let's see how it goes, though. Oh, man. The latest stuff I work on a project called Amazon Explore. If you go to amazon.com/explore, you can check it out. Did I watch the Usman fight? No. I haven't had a chance to catch many MMA fights lately. I stay up to date with the news though. I watch MMA news on like YouTube all the time, so I'm always sort of keeping my eye out, waiting to see who the Cosmot's gonna fight next. It's Cosmot Chinaev. I always forget how to pronounce his name, but see who he's gonna smash. So, hello. Baby girl, you doing okay? You come up. I know. I heard it was a good fight though. Just like the first one. Am I Jewish? Well, I have family who's Jewish in terms of culture and religion. I would say I'm Jewish by heritage, not by religion. You tired, pup? What's the matter? How did I learn to be a front end engineer? How many computer languages are you proficient in? I'd say I'm pretty much only um, proficient in JavaScript and TypeScript, if we're being honest. I've programmed in about 7 or 8 different languages when I was teaching myself to code. Uh, I would say JavaScript is probably the most popular language, and that's a great place to get started. How did I learn to be a front end engineer? Free courses on the internet using things like Codecademy, Free Code Camp, YouTube. What is they barking about? Any big purchases recently since you're rolling in that Jeff Bezos money? I bought a second house. That was about 5 months ago. That's probably the biggest. I'm getting the dogs trained. So, do you think JavaScript makes users' interfaces unnecessarily complicated compared to other programming languages? Um, no, I don't think so. I don't think JavaScript has anything to do with that. I think you have a lot of moving pieces in the front end, and that in itself is complicated. You have 3 different things you have to do. Am I still suffering from depression? No. Uh, what's my next step in my career? Um, I guess to go and get promoted at my current org or the next one. Um, how long did it take you to get a job as front end dev? Well, I dropped out of college and I started working full time as a technology trainer, which is kind of a business analyst slash technical writer. And within 9 months, I had my first job. I just studied every day, every single day. um, so you never paid for anything; everything was free. Yeah, I was too broke. I did free Udacity courses, YouTube, Codecademy, free Code Camp. What do you need to learn JavaScript for a front end developer for functionality? What's better than 2 houses, 3 houses? Trust me, I've looked into it, and if my girlfriend moved in maybe 2 months ago, and I want to buy a third house, and she's slapped that shit down. um, thoughts on React? So I personally like Angular better. I think it's easier to structure your code. I also am not a big fan of functional components. Not because I don't necessarily like functional components. It's that I think the structure of functional components makes it hard to know uh, where your code is. There's just a lot of like class-based components in React. I think is actually much easier to follow in terms of the code. But that's my general thoughts. I will say that generally speaking, most jobs are in React, especially when you get into big tech. Besides knowing React, what's other things are important? At jobs such as Redux, GraphQL, Redux goes pretty much hand in hand with React nowadays. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, TypeScript, some form of unit testing, and Git would be what I would say. What I think about traditional universities never making any significant updates to their curriculum in the last several decades. Um, well, as you may or may not know, I'm a 2-time college dropout, so I might be biased in this fact. Um, I think a lot of successful computer science students that come out study competitive programming. I just say a lot, but a decent amount to pass the interview, and doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be a efficient engineer. They can be, but um, I would argue that $50,000 for a degree over 4 years of time, that if you saved yourself 50 grand and gave yourself 4 years of dedication, um, you could probably be farther ahead than going that path. But everyone has to take a different path. There's a lot of people who went to college and were very successful. Um, and then there's people like myself who um, that's not the the case, right? That where I don't succeed in that environment. So, um, everyone's got to do their own thing. Nice to see you too, Bishop. Thoughts on students who are not able to grasp competitive programming? How should we go about getting jobs at top company? Get a job at a non-top company and then start studying. Um, what should I add in my resume in order to compensate for lack of degree? Certificates, projects. That's pretty much it. How's it going? It's going well, man. How are you? How's the new gig? Um, so yeah, so I mean, just add the skills to pay the bills on that resume. Um, is there an occupation you'd prefer instead of your current one? For instance, would you rather prefer DJing or arts? Um, I would just prefer to be independently wealthy. Is that the thing? I mean, I really love what I do. Um, I think at times it can be very frustrating, but I think any knowledge working job is that way. One of the best things about being a software engineer is also one of the worst things is that you're solving problems on a daily basis, which means you're challenged on a daily basis. So in fact, I think most engineers, when they look for other jobs other than pay raises, they go and they're looking for it to be challenged again. Um, so I don't know that there's something else I would be doing. Um, I think I really found my niche in life. Have I been paying attention to Chris Hawks? A couple of I watched a video where he said, "Hey, I'm." He's like, "I'm done with this, man. No more YouTube, no more this, no more that." And then, like, I wished him good luck. I said, "Listen, I'm taking a break from, because if you guys been following um my personal channel, I've said like on YouTube, like, hey, I'm done here. You might see me in an occasional live stream to promote a course or mentoring or like just say hi, but I have zero intent to continue working on YouTube. So, and I said it's one of the best decisions I've made, if we're being honest. Like, I love doing YouTube in a sense. Like, I think very fondly about it, but the only regret I have is not growing this an extra 20,000 to get to 100K and get a silver play button. Uh, so you know, but that's sort of where I'm at. So I haven't been following too much about Chris Hawks. He went through a bad divorce. That's unfortunate. Um, do you feel burnout with your job? I've felt burnout at every single job. JavaScript Miss 2021. If they ask me, I think Scrimba's been hiring a lot of internal creators. So there's not gonna be too many external ones. Matter of fact, they just bought me out of my royalty agreement, so they're really trying to fine tune that. So I think I can talk about that. I don't know why I wouldn't be able to, as long as I don't discuss numbers and things like that. But what are your most expensive hobbies? I don't really have any hobbies. I mean, my hobbies involve my computer setup and like, you know, I mean that I work. I work on side projects. So like the most expensive thing I have are like, I have this, if you see this desk, it's this standing desk that's an L. I got a couple monitors and then I have like, it's hard to see on this side, but I have like maybe a $4,000 PC, or at least that's what it was when I got it. Um, like anything I've spent money on has really been my office. I drive a car that I could pay off in 1 month's salary, and it's a nice car, but it's, I don't really spend too much. Will I be doing my yearly review and goals? I don't think so, man. Like I have goals, I have objectives, and like I know what I'm doing and where I'm trying to go and all that. But you know, don't take it personally. I love you all, but YouTube is in the rear window for me for the most part. So do you ever think about having people work for you on big projects, or you think it would be too stressful? I've partnered up with people on projects and things like that, but um, I don't know, most of the projects I like taking on nowadays have milestones in which they can expand in scope, but they also can be delivered. So you know, and that's kind of why stopped doing YouTube. Is it just at some point you have to, at some point you either say like, am I gonna do this another year? Like I'm not really enjoying it. Um, or am I going to do something else? So same thing with like League of Legends and like, so I don't play video games that don't have ends anymore. I don't know if I've mentioned this. So like I love multiplayer games, man. I love hopping on the mic, sort of talking trash. I love ranked. I love all that competitive nature. Love it with love it with everything in my soul. But there's no end to it. There's just next season. There's, another game, another turn. And so I avoid video games that don't have ends. Should you spend more time on free code camp? I think free code camp gives you the skills to go build the projects. Um, I was thinking about getting a third monitor. Do you like a third monitor lot more than two? Yes. I've gone all the way up to four, and I thought four was a little bit too much. Three is perfect. At least for me. I think everyone's different. Um, do you think you'll stay in Tampa the next few years? I don't know, man. For those who know me who those who know my personal life, I'm kind of a loose cannon. Um, my family's getting older. Most of my family's on the West Coast, and I love Florida. There's really only two other states I'd even consider living in: Texas and Washington. Um, but I don't know. I don't have any plans to move this minute. My take on the metaverse. I think right now it's just words. And not saying they're not putting actions behind it, but I just don't think it doesn't really exist yet. So hey, um, I mean I have a Quest and I pretty much only play Beat Saber on it. But I get where they're going, where you're connecting with other people. Because half time I'm on there, I'm playing with a buddy of mine, and we're chatting about life as we're doing Beat Saber. We used to play ping pong, but I like Beat Saber better. So I mean, I think we're a lot farther away where we sort of strap in and interact digitally for work and things like that. I'm not saying it can't happen. I just think I think by the time people are wearing headsets and doing remote that way, I'll be retired. Like that's that's kind of how long I think that's going to take. So, but I think it's interesting. I will say I'm not super stoked that Facebook is the one who is going to be leading that, given their reputation for making good moral choices. Like, that's a little concerning. Choosing profit over the common good for people. So, um, but I'm definitely got my eyes to it, seeing what's going on. I think Facebook has Oculus Quest and all that, but to the extent that it's going to do what people want it to do, is it's nowhere near what it is we're trying to accomplish. It's like saying bicycles exist, so we of course can build a spaceship. so, so like yes, you have a form of transportation. That is in fact true. You can get point A to point B in a certain amount of time on a bicycle. But what we're trying to do is fly to the moon. We're trying to do the Shiba Inu. All right. So that takes time. How much money do I earn? You mean like at my job, or people are always so interested in knowing that? I mean, I don't mind answering it, but for most people, it'd be a rude question. Like, I don't know that most of the time people would ask you in person how much money you make. Um, like I've never been asked in person how much money I make. Let me put it that way. But I've been asked 100 different ways on the internet how much money I make. Um, but yeah, sure. I make. Uh, let's see. I make about 235 in terms of my total comp for my job, and then I make probably about 50, 60 grand on top of that. Maybe 75 in it, a good year on side projects. How did I meet my girlfriend? Mutual friends. Just one of those things. I said, "Hey, baby, let me holla at you." Except much more awkwardly, and definitely not like that. Um, do I think code alongs on YouTube are a good way to start front? I think it's a good way to be exposed, and then you need to go build your own thing. So, a girl on Tinder has to do that? Listen, dog, just put that in your profile. um, there you go. Just put FAQ section, money, abs, 6 of them. uh, 6 times 6 is more what I got going on here. Any favorite tokens? I am long on Ethereum. I got a good feels on Ethereum. Big feels. Um, uh, Not financial advice, by the way, on the tokens. um, Dylan, wouldn't I live somebody else's life if I switched to your field, software engineering? I find it boring, but there's unemployment in my field I've been working on so far, tutoring. I mean, I don't think you have to go from tutoring to engineering or software engineering. I mean, there's lots of other careers out there. Maybe you want something that's a little bit more non like working with your hands. You could be a electrician, you could be a mechanic, you can be a handyman, you could go into nursing. Um, you know, I and honestly, I don't recommend this field for anybody who doesn't enjoy it. Um, you know, you have to love doing this or you're gonna hate doing it. I don't even think you can be indifferent. I think you have to actually like doing it. There's just a lot that comes along with being a software engineer, and I generally think you have to enjoy it. I'm not saying you have to have a passion for it and work outside of work and all that sort of stuff, but I generally think you have to love it, to do it long term. I really do. It's a good idea to just focus on front end for your entire career. I mean, you can. You don't have to. I mean, there's specialties in any profession. That's what I've been doing. How's DevOps career growth? It's good. I mean, is a DevOps is an interesting thing to get into because it's kind of hard to learn it on your own because you're building pipelines and things like that for other people for projects. So a lot of times I feel like people transition into DevOps or they like hire engineers early on and are willing to train them in DevOps. So yeah, I primarily work in React. Although I've worked in Angular and Vue as well. You can jump right into front end. I think at some point you should circle back to fundamentals of computer science. Yeah, I mean DevOps is more and more popular every year. What to expect in a JavaScript interview? I do have a course called the 100 Front End Interview Question Challenge that goes over a lot of the very common JavaScript problems. Quality engineer? You mean like what's a software quality engineer? Did I have a mentor? I mean, not until I started working as a engineer, and I wouldn't exactly say I had a mentor. I sort of just leached off of the senior devs to figure out how does one get good at architecture part of software. Just building projects and going out of their way to look up things, design patterns, and things like that. A software developer in test is just a higher level quality assurance where they're building testing tools a lot of time. I mean, major companies have them. I couldn't tell you. I don't follow it close enough to tell you how good the job perspective is. How good were you when you had your first engineer job? I was awful. I mean, I was told by some of my more awful colleagues that I was just doing well, and I was tutoring. My first dev job, I was definitely tutoring the two other junior engineers while they found a senior engineer for the project. Um, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't. I'm sure it was awful. I know it's nice out. Any tips what you should go over with TypeScript? Yeah, just make sure you probably understand object-oriented programming and some of the higher level stuff like enums and access modifiers and generics with the TypeScript. Got a cloud engineer role. There you go. How much did I get paid for my first dev job? $62,000. I would say TypeScript's definitely been increased in adoption. I would highly recommend picking it up. Yeah. Uh, yeah, 62,000. What happened to the Steel series? I still got it. Uh, where is it? Oh, it's charging down here. Um, Amazon, not Amazon. LinkedIn Learning sent me this headset to record my courses with them, and I said, "Hey, should I send this back?" They said, "Nope. You'll eventually do more courses for us, or like hopefully you'll do more courses and keep it." Yeah, I'm in the St. Petersburg area, but yeah, diabetic manatee. Tis where I am. And they're right. I did a second course, and now I'm like, and I like working with them. It's pretty straightforward, and the deal's good. Not only do they give you an advance, but then you get royalties. I've been learning front end React, and when I'm not working, I feel like there's so many dependencies I need to know, which overwhelms me. Um, have you tried the GitHub Autopilot? No, I just haven't felt the need to. I've heard good things though. What am I doing? Doing live stream, y'all. Answering your questions every once in a while. The best thing you can do to master CSS and Flexbox is just use them. Are there some who didn't find you an appropriate mentor for them? I mean, it's common and frustrating thing for any tutor when students are capriciously like princesses. So when I mentor people, I actually interview them as much as they interview me because I don't want to waste my time. And I also don't want to waste their money. I cost a lot, right? And so, um, you have to you have to I want to make sure I do well. That's why, like, if you go on my Mentor Cruise platform, I have, what's on my profile right now? I have a 5-star review with 30 reviews, and I've had more mentees than that. And the reason there is I choose people who I believe are going to succeed and put in the effort and energy, and I don't want to take on people who aren't going to be that. And if I'm not right for them, so I take on people I believe I can help succeed. So if I don't think that, and I haven't turned away too many. Let's say of 50, I've turned away 5 to 10, something like that. They can go find somebody who is right for them. I get tired of the constant changes of the same things the front end. I don't think there's been as many in the last couple of years, if we're being honest. Did my parents name me after Bob Dylan? Yes. What am I currently learning at the moment? JavaScript, the advanced parts, is covering in more in depth things like closures, currying, ifs, functional programming, object-oriented programming, some additional asynchronous stuff, modules. So just diving deeper into JavaScript to really have a even better understanding. What's my career goal? Just keep growing. Progress the career, make money. I mean, I don't know. Why did I become a mentor? Well, much like on here, I like helping people and answering questions. I enjoy this. I enjoy helping the community. And I had quite a few people throughout the years reach out and want one-on-one help. And I can't really do that. I value my time for one. And if I'm helping you for free, it means I'm not helping myself. So I ended up figuring out, I came across a platform about a year ago that I liked, Mentor Cruise, and I was like, oh, let me give this a shot, and it's been going very well. I have usually somewhere between 5 and 10 mentees at a time, and it's at a rate that I feel comfortable with, where I feel like, okay, I don't mind trading my time if I find that it's worth a certain amount, right? Because if I'm trading my time and then I can take that money and invest it to get more time back later on, that to me is a net gain. Now there's other things that sort of you have to figure out, in the short term. My girlfriend, for instance, she usually works Monday through Thursday, so I make sure that I do my mentoring Monday through Thursday, so that like it doesn't interact with us. How old were you when you started programming? About 26, maybe around there, 25. Am I planning to launch my own startup? No. Does my girlfriend have a similar job? No, she is a student and works as a server/bartender. What do you think is the next big thing? I mean, blockchain seems to be growing quite a bit. How old am I now? 34. I got my first dev job when I was 28, about to turn 29. I have 5 years, 2 months of full-time dev experience, and about a year of internship experience. So, that is my credentials. Yeah. Hey, baby girl, you okay? Silver making noises. Yeah, I mean, right now the thing with Web3 that's the issue is the amount of energy it takes to deal with the verification process, right? So like NFTs, for instance, use a ton of energy to generate. Any tips I'd give you? If they have you build something, make sure you use it reusable. This is something that I've struggled with in the past, where I just sort of take the task at hand. I don't even think about making the component reusable till the very end. Be able to explain the difference between functional and class-based components, as well as be comfortable with hooks. Most interviews are probably going to test you on functional components. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of functional components, but uh, not because there's anything wrong with functional components or better with class-based. I just think functional components tend to be messier, which for me, I think the best thing you can do is make code readable. And I think class-based components do that better. Will there be any behavioral or just technical? There might be behavioral. Every interview is different. Um, there might be some JavaScript questions. So, currently work with React and TypeScript. Any suggestions to improve job search skills? Yeah, definitely. Only fill out apps that are less than 24 hours old, and make sure you do a thorough job on your resume where your skills are highlighted and organized, and then also you have good, clearly defined bullet points for your jobs. I'm not referring to Angular. I'm referring to functional and class-based components in React. I think functional components in React are messier code. Um, How's life? Life is good. Um, I'm making money, saving money, and getting experience working on projects. Same old, same old. But that's what I like to do. Um, is it enough for becoming a JavaScript tutor for beginners? As I taught my future students just several basic JavaScript tutorial teaches. Um, I don't really know how to answer that question. It really depends on what they're trying to be tutored in, what they're trying to get out of it. So you stand alone while the whole industry has moved away from class-based components in React? I can stand alone. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. uh, the industry follows what the React devs put out there. Um, one thing you have to realize is that one of the things that will eventually make you a great dev is thinking for yourself. So um, I'm not saying that there's not a reason to use functional components or like I don't use them. I use them all the time. I work in React. I only use functional components. But what I can tell you is that much like frameworks are built, they're built by other engineers. Much like how patterns are developed, they're developed by other engineers. And if you look historically at React itself, which it has changed from class to functional to inline styles to styled components, the reason those things change is because you have engineers who are doing things different than the established models. That doesn't mean that when one of these things become established that they won't take missteps. So, are there trade-offs? Sure. But I lead towards functionality or rather readability being more important than what functional components give. So I think if you've worked in both, it's a hard argument to say functional components are more readable and not more jumbled. But that's the general sentiment. Games development, I'd stay away from games development. That's a whole trap. What does a class-based component give you that functional components don't give? Well, one, you typically will have a single class in your file. Functional components, you will have multiple. You'll also have functions that are directly related to that class that will be living outside the component sometimes. Um, I also don't buy into the fact that use effect is a um, better than lifecycle methods. I think oftentimes uh, use effect is overused and doesn't necessarily clearly communicate what the intention is. So, you know, the creating private or public functions and also testing is significantly easier in class-based components. It's easier to mock. Um, you know, so it's easier to organize your code. It's easier to have properties that get updated. Um, so and show intention with easier in TypeScript public and private properties and access modifiers, things like that. So, but again, readability. It, I'm not saying one doesn't give one to the other. I'm not saying functionally they're not equivalent. What I am saying, I understand that object-oriented programming can be done in JavaScript and functions or classes. I understand that. I understand that I understand that functions are objects in the background and you can add properties to functions, all of that. My argument is that it's less readable. And readability is the number one reason that TypeScript is introduced into projects. It adds type safety, sure, but ESLint and stuff like that can add type safety as well. But you add TypeScript mainly for readability. And my suggestion is that the readability of functional components is less than class-based. Anyhow, competition mentoring platform tough. Yeah, there's tons of engineers on there. So, all right, guys, we've been going about an hour. Went on a little rant there about functional components versus class-based. You know, can you give an example of where readability is less? I just went over that. Am I still working out? I do a class with my girlfriend once a week, and so we do a spinning class. It's 20 minutes, 20 minutes spin, 20 minutes strength, 20 minutes yoga. We do that once a week. Then I work out on the Nintendo Switch on Ring Fit Adventure. I'm like level 275 on there. I love that game. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. Best of luck. Check out my mentoring if you're interested. Bye.